So good to see you. I take it no competitions today?
No, not today.
Okay,
Just some training, but that's it.
got it. So I saw, I think it's in the last week, might have been the last 2 weeks, that Jocko Willink tweeted about you. Did you see that?
Yes. I think he tweeted about something or my dad had posted that I had said in one of his tweets, if that makes sense.
And what do you think of that, of Jocko Willink tweeting about you?
Well, I think the whole notion of that is pretty cool because I'm not on X yet, but I think the whole situation of why he was tweeting about the post that I did was pretty cool because I thought it was or I thought the thing that he posted about, which I'll say that in a moment, was really interesting, and I wanted to put my opinion on there. So this guy, he had not Jocko, another man had posted his about his opinion, basically telling fathers not to put their daughters in jujitsu because it not a word for word quote, but he was basically saying that you shouldn't because it's allowing 14 or teenage boys to grow bad and to touch your daughter and stuff. And then Jocko posted a tweet back saying, um, to the words of, I'm not quoting, but put your daughters in jujitsu so that they can defend themselves from that type of thing. And I agree with Jocko. So I made a Loom video about my opinion, and I said that it's the wrong thing to do just to shield your daughter from those things instead of exposing them to it and having them learn how to defend themselves. And we were kind of late to the game, but my dad posted it as a response on Jocko's tweet. And then again on some other tweet that Jocko was in, and then he saw it, apparently watched it, and then retweeted it. So I thought that was a cool experience and a cool thing to do.
Got it. And how well do you know Jocko?
Um, Pretty well. I used to train at his old Gym Victory MMA until about 2020. And I would see him very often, and he recognizes me and my brother whenever we're at jujitsu tournaments and stuff. It's
Mhm.
always very fun to say hi.
So you were already a pretty serious competitor when you left that gym?
Um, I enjoyed competing, but I wasn't in it so much as to win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's maybe last 2 or 3. Seems like almost 4 years you've been pretty serious competition. So maybe roughly after you left his gym is kind of when you got started as a serious competitor.
Yeah, I could say so. Like when I started training with competitors for sure.
Got it. Well, very interesting. And to what extent do you attribute, there are two related things. There's reading The Way of the Warrior book, and then there is actually practicing jujitsu. Do you think the book and the practice kind of went hand in hand, or would you say one has been more influential for you than the other?
Well, I read his books when I was a couple years ago, and that's what inspired me to start jujitsu. They were very inspiring and influential, especially when I first started, because I could totally relate to the character. I was really new and stuff. And those books have a lot of different lessons that I still take to today. I think the main one being Jocko's trademark. I don't know if it's a trademark, but his saying discipline equals freedom.
Mhm.
That helps a lot because sometimes I need to have discipline in order to keep training and things like that. So I think the messages in the books are still influential to me, and that I'm also training a lot.
Excellent. Actually, to dig in that just a little bit. So are you suggesting maybe there's some days you don't feel like training, and then you remember discipline equals freedom, and just remembering that helps you have the discipline to go and train again that day?
Yes, pretty much.
Got it. Um, are there any days when you just like, not today, or how does that work?
There are for sure days. I mean, even though I'm young, sometimes I'm still like, or some days when I wake up in the morning to go to 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. practice, I'm really groggy and I'm really tired and I just want to sleep in and stuff. I know that I still have like 6 more hours to go of training or something, uh, and I'm still motivated, but my body's kind of worn out. And so usually I think of all the work I've done and things like that, and I push myself to, still go to practice and things like that.
So you have 6 hours of practice some days?
Yes.
Wow. How many days a week do you have 6 hours of practice?
Um, I mean, I guess I'll throw the work days of the week, maybe except for Wednesday because I have school in the morning. And then I think now I'm starting to to wrestle on the weekends. But I've had a schedule for the past couple months where I train in the morning and in the afternoon, and it amounts to maybe 5, 6 hours.
Wow, that's intense. Once you're doing it, so I knew you practiced daily, but I thought it was like 2 or 3 hours. 5 or 6 is really intense, especially at your age. Once you're doing it, do you generally enjoy it?
For sure, yeah. I feel like, and I'm also surrounded by all my friends and things like that, so that helps a lot. Sometimes when I like during the weekends and it's Monday, sometimes I'm like, oh no, it's training. But then when I get there, it's hard, but it's a lot of fun.
Got it. And I expect at night you're really tired in a healthy, good way.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just thinking, a lot of Americans, maybe not kids your age, but a lot of Americans have a hard time falling asleep. But my bet is if you're working out that much, you probably fall asleep really easily.
Most nights for sure.
Yeah. Well, I want to just think a little bit about the role of, I'm not going to say being famous, but Jocko Willink has a pretty big audience. Do you have any? Do you like the idea of him focusing on you and giving your message attention, or for you, it's more about getting your message out there that's important? Um, what do you think about, suppose he were to cite you more often? Is that a good thing? Tell me a little bit about what you think about that.
Well, I think in this case, it's more about my message that's getting out, like you said, because I wasn't really looking to get cited or reposted or anything like that. I just wanted people to see the video.
Mhm.
Um, if I were to get cited or reposted more, that would be cool because I would get more publicity. And then if it was about messages like these, then people would be able to watch them or read them and then learn a little more or something like that. But I mean, it would be fun for people to like visit my Instagram and stuff and things like that. But I feel like in this case, it's for sure more about the message.
Got it. And is it your belief that most or all girls should learn jujitsu so they can fight, and or most or all kids, boys and girls, should learn jujitsu so they can fight?
Well, I don't think that everybody needs to learn specifically jujitsu. I think, I mean, if you can't, you can't. If you can, you can. I think it's one of the best things to do in order to learn self-defense and confidence and humility and things like that. There's other ways you could wrestle or box or Muay Thai. But I think the main argument I was posing was that um, the man who posted about your daughters, about how your daughter should not be doing jujitsu, he was saying that like you're just allowing them to get touched and things like that by just specifically 14-year-old boys, he said. And I think the part that I was trying to say was that that's not what's happening. I mean, most people are very, very respectful, and you're learning how to defend yourself and um, not intentionally directly exposing yourself to that.
Hmm. Got it. And I don't know the technical meaning of grapple in your context. Would you say that you grapple either in wrestling and or jujitsu, or is that not the right use of the word grapple?
I think that's the right use, like
Okay.
physical grappling for sure.
Because I wanted to transfer it to intellectually grappling. Would you say that you feel capable of grappling intellectually with adults on issues like this?
I mean, about this issue, I think for sure because I'm experienced in this issue. Maybe not about other things, but yes.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect you to be able to grapple with a quantum physicist about quantum physics because you don't know any. But you would say, in terms of confidence, that there's an issue like this where you have, in your case, my bet is you have way more experience than this guy did. So if there's an issue where you have more experience, and part of the reason I ask is some kids, and I think most kids, would be intimidated by an adult. And so just like it sounds like you are not intimidated by, well, you even grapple physically with adults in training, correct?
Yes.
And you're not intimidated?
Uh, Most of the time I'm not intimidated.
Of course, sometimes, of course, of course. But it sounds like, would you say that in a domain where you have a knowledge base, you would not be intimidated by grappling intellectually with an adult in real life?
For sure. Actually, I didn't think about it that way, but right as I read the tweet when my dad showed me, I was like immediately disagreeing and things like that and thinking about rebuttals in my head, I guess. But I can also kind of visualize a scenario where an adult said something that I wasn't knowledgeable about, and I would have kind of just succumbed to the idea and agreed maybe or wanted to learn more about it. But in this case, I was knowledgeable and maybe even more experienced than that guy. I'm not sure. So I was completely confident.
Have you ever grappled with an adult on an issue where the adult had a strongly held opinion and you really kind of wrestled the other person to the ground with your arguments?
Not personally, to be honest. I've never been in a situation where I needed to do that.
How about in class? Would you say you've ever, so to speak, grappled with one of your fellow classmates? They had a wrong opinion and you know, debated them into I don't want to say into submission, but you sort of do you like the analogy sometimes, not always, but between kind of grappling physically and grappling intellectually? Does it make
For
sense?
sure, especially when it's about a debate. And I think I have a couple of times before. I can
With
remember a couple
classmates?
scenarios. Yeah.
Got it. I mean, I assume you're not the least bit intimidated by your classmates intellectually.
Uh, Maybe if they're older than me, but not as much as an adult, for sure.
Got it. Got it. Well, I think it's really interesting, the analogy between, again, clearly differences between physical grappling and intellectual grappling. But I also think there are similarities. What would you say are the similarities and differences between, um, I think the differences are kind of obvious, but what would you say are the similarities between physically grappling and intellectually grappling?
Um, well, for physically grappling, you have to, or I mean, sometimes you do have to kind of strategize your way through things, especially if the fight's going kind of slow. And then I think you're gonna have to do that or do the same when you're intellectually grappling, because just imagine it's a debate. You have to come up with good arguments and things like that. Um, and the difference is obviously the grappling is physical, or grappling in jujitsu or wrestling is physical, and then intellectually it's not physical.
Mhm.
Um, Also, sometimes in jujitsu, especially jujitsu, because I'm more experienced at that, sometimes I don't think at all when I'm fighting. I kind of just do it. And I think when I'm debating somebody, I think I do really need to focus and think.
Mhm.
Maybe just because I'm not as experienced, I'm not sure.
Got it. Very interesting. In which case, you've given me lots to think about, as well as our audience. And I'll let you have a good day, and we'll see you next weekend.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Yep.
Michael.
Bye.